welcome to the Angela Makes podcast. I am Angela and I am always making. I live just outside Belfast in Northern Ireland, and this podcast will primarily be about knitting, and the last 2 episodes have been, but today I have a tiny bit of crochet and a little bit of sewing to share with you, so I'll keep that to the end. The majority of it is knitting, and I will get straight in. So let's just look at some of the finished objects. The first one that I'm going to share with you was a whip in episode 2. It's now finished. So it is the Mystery Cal from Tilly Bean Knits for Halloween, and this is the shawl. So this is it completely finished. I'm not sure where I'd got to last week, possibly down to the moons. I didn't look back before recording, but we have this section here with the skulls and the hearts, and then the cauldrons. The cauldrons are absolutely fabulous at the bottom. And then I loved the way the ribbing was finished off at the end. So I'd went through all of the yarns for this last week. There was a mix of Drops Flora and Malton Yarns Halloween kit from last year. And I was right in my suspicion. Malton Yarns posted this week to say that they would be opening up the shop again mid-November. So I'm very excited for that. So this is the shawl. I'll pull it on. And it sits just beautifully. It is so nice. I love it. I've already had it on a few times this week. But you can really see the cauldrons around the bottom. And I like that you get the peak of the black cats coming out. But this is just fabulous and I love it. So this is my first finished object. And as I said, I've gone through the yarns in a bit more detail and the colours in episode 2. The Malton Yarns one, obviously you can't get now, but the Drops Flora you absolutely can. And this was Tilly Bean Knits. It is now released on the website, and obviously you can see everyone's colour palettes that they've chosen, but it's just really fun for this time of year. Okay, so then my second finished object you didn't see the last time, not because I'd started it since, but I always have a pair of vanilla shorties on the go, and at this time of the year, I know we haven't quite got to Halloween, but I'm thinking of Christmas gifts. So I have 2 shorty socks finished. I should also say I'm recording on a Saturday evening because it's just not always working to record in the morning. I'm hoping the lighting is going to be okay. So if you see this, then the lighting has turned out okay. So these are vanilla shorties. And that colour, there's the colour there. And then the blue for the toe. I didn't use the blue. I continued using the main yarn for the heel and did a heel flap and gusset. Did the cuff in a 2x1 rib and the ordinary toe. So this yarn is a Rico yarn. I was in my local yarn store about a month ago and she mentioned that she had new sock yarn in, so I wanted to give it a go. So as I say, this is the Rico yarn. Lovely flex of colour through that blue. It's not too bad a colour there. Maybe a tiny bit brighter than it is in real life. But this is the Rico alpaca. So I also got this colourway. 4-ply, 55% virgin wool, 25% polyamide, 20% alpaca, and I have to say it's really beautiful. It's really lovely. So this one is more of a blue with the pops of turquoise and orange and pink, and then this one is a little bit more muted with the flecks in kind of deeper navies, dusky blue. There's white popping through there and some pink as well coming through. So for these, UK size 6.5, 7, it only took just over 30 grams. So I've plenty more to do, another couple of pairs of those. So that was another finished object this week. I actually don't think there's much more finished. Oh wait, there's one more thing. So I went and paid Casey a visit in Hank's Yarn Parlour in Belfast, and she had mentioned that she was doing a cal. So she had released a few patterns and is running a cal for those patterns. One of them is a hot water bottle cover, and again, I love hot water bottles, especially at this time of year. But they're also lovely gifts whenever you knit the hot water bottle cover. So I used the same yarn as Casey, which is the Lamold Camarose. So this is 50% llama, 50% virgin wool, and 100 meters, so DK weight. And this is the hot water bottle cover. Isn't it gorgeous? And it only took a couple of evenings to complete. Once you get into the colour work, it kind of just takes off. This is one of the bigger hot water bottles. But yeah, it's just lovely and a really, really quick knit. So I really enjoyed that one. The colours, that's the undyed one. So that's the cream that you see. I'm not sure of the colour of the mustard and the navy because I had those in stash. There were bits and pieces left over from one of the classes that I'd went to in Casey's, but it was more than enough to finish it off. So I think the cream was 30 grams-ish, I think 31 maybe. The navy was 30 grams, and then it was only 6 grams of the mustard. So you could do this with scraps really, really easily. You could also add loads of other colours in, but I just really liked the navy, the mustard and the cream, so I copied Casey's. So I have finished that, and again, just to say, sorry, if you go on to Hank's Yarn Parlour Instagram, Casey has all the information on the cal there, and also I think it's a £25 voucher for Hank's Yarn Parlour is the prize, so go and join in. For that, I think she has 2 hat patterns, mittens, the hot water bottle, and socks, I think are the patterns that she has put up. But again, they're on her Ravelry, which is linked on her Instagram page. So I'll try to link all of those below so that you have them and you can join in or see those patterns. So I think that is everything that I have finished in terms of knitting. I have a couple of other half-finished objects, which are socks. Obviously, one of them is going to be my October socks because I have cast on far too many things this particular month. I've only got one of the socks finished, all of my pins, so that I can do the second one the same. So these are the ghosts. I took you through this the last time. It's in this gorgeous purple yarn. So it's a beautiful deep, deep, deep purple in Drops Fable, and the ghosts are in the off-white. I did 2 rows of the ghosts and I staggered them. I was going to carry them down the foot, which I think I said in episode 2, but I didn't want them on the base of the sock and I didn't want stripes and I just couldn't decide, so I went plain. But I do love them. So they are the Colourwork Cuff Club by Summerly Knits. And again, I've talked about this the last time. So you pay a subscription for the year. I think at the minute it's $13 or $13.99. And each month you get a different colour work. And so far, August, September and October, we have had 2 colour work patterns in each of those months. So obviously next week we will get another new pattern and you get the base sock pattern, and you can then customize this by adding in your own heel or your own cuff. I have got that I really enjoy the 2x1 rib at the top. I just think it's really nice and it gives a little bit of extra stretch for me, and I do the standard toe. So really enjoying those, really enjoying seeing them coming through every month. And then I joined in a test knit. So the test knit was by Hardy Barn, which is a UK designer. I have test knit for her before, and this sock is the Shadow sock. Yeah, so it's Hardy Barn Designs. Joe is the designer, and these are the Shadow Dash sock. Now, I'm going to read you out the description on this and then we'll have a chat. 'Cause again, I'm a little bit of a computer nerd and a geek, so this really played to my geekiness. So the Shadow Dash allows for a bright pop of colour to shine. The simple slip stitch pattern makes for a straightforward knit. You might be wondering why it isn't a repeating pattern. That's because the dots and the dashes reminded me of Morse code. See if you can find the word knit in the sock. So this is the first sock. So this yarn is quite hard in whatever light I show. Again, it's the Rico Sock Neon, and it is as bright as the camera is showing it. This was the selection by my daughter. It does pill a lot the very first time that you wear the socks. So I was quite disappointed, but when I got the depiller out, they've worn really well since. So I think now that I know that, it wouldn't necessarily put me off. So I had loads left from the wee shorties that I had knit her initially, so I decided to do these. And it's this pattern across here has the K, the N, the I and the T running across the dots and the dashes on the front of the toe. I'll take them off. So running across this bit is the dots and the dashes for knit, which I thought was just very cool. As well, the heel is a little bit different, the way that you work the heel on this one. And the cuff and the toe are the same, and then you end up with stripes on the bottom. Now on this particular one, initially the start of round was in the middle of the sock, and as you can see, I wasn't massively keen, and I moved it at this stage to the side. In moving it to the side, this side, so from here down, you can't even see it. So I much preferred my start of row or start of round here, and I will do that on the second sock rather than in the middle, because the way the stripes were joining, and I was doing because it's different rows, one is 3 and one is 2, but the way that it worked, I was trying to make it that I wasn't having too much, but you can still, it just really messed up. So once I moved it to the side, you can't even see where I was changing the yarns. So that's the Shadow Dash. The test knit finishes on the 4th of November, so the socks will be out after that. But again, on my Instagram, I will post whenever the sock is released. It's a really cool pattern, and I've really enjoyed knitting that one. So on that note, the last time I had showed sock blockers that my husband printed for me, I had quite a few comments and queries privately whether I would sell the sock blockers. So he went off and designed something different so that we can print those ourselves and have more customization in the long term. But initially we have this as our sock blocker. So it has the Angela Makes at the top, and then we've used the X's and the size at the bottom. Now for this particular one, the way that he has designed it, it's coming apart much easier than the previous one. I'm not sure if you noticed in episode 2, but I struggled to get that on and off. And then these are angled. You can see kind of just the beveled edge on that, and it slides in and clicks. I mean, it doesn't come out unless you press in the back. And then you've all the different sizes for those. He did do me another colour. He actually did me another couple of colours. I'm definitely putting this one up first. And the Angela Makes might be the same black as this, But then he did this colour, so a turquoise, and again, really easy to pop on and off. And he also did in the white. So they're all interchangeable, even though these aren't the right colour. They're all interchangeable with the wee hook if you wanted to hang it from a wall, or I have the IKEA pin boards and it's really useful to hang from those. So hopefully I will be getting those updated over the next couple of days, and again I will post and let you know both on YouTube and Instagram. But I love these. I couldn't do without them, especially the different sizes for all of the socks. I have just remembered I have one other whip. 2 seconds. This isn't even a whip. This is an FO. But it has been an FO, a whip and an FO. If you know, you know. My Musselburgh is complete. What you will also notice, and this is why it was an FO and a whip and an FO, is that it's all one colour. So this was Malton Yarns, and it is absolutely gorgeous colourway, and that is showing it up really, really beautifully in that light actually. And I had the pink, if you remember, episode 2, if you want to have a look. So I had the pink because I thought this wasn't going to be long enough. And I put the pink in, and then, so if you don't know the Musselburgh, sorry, it's a long tube, and this is 4-ply, and then you fold it in on itself. So if you wanted one part of the tube one colour, one part of the tube another, you could have a reversible hat, essentially. Hats, I'm not great. I'm going to try it on, but I'm not great with hats. But what happened was when I put the pink on, it was kind of sitting here, and then when you turned it the other way, you had bits peeking out, so it just wasn't at the right place. So I decided to unpick it. Now, I joined my needles at the start of the pink and put another needle in at the end and nicked with scissors the pink and took the pink out. So what I have done, which you can't really see, is here, and I can't see what I'm doing, but in and around here, I Kitchenered it. So I had the tiniest bit of yarn left. I used up what I had left, and I knit 11 extra rows. I had taken out 26. So I took the 26 out, I knit 11, and I have this amount of yarn left. Literally scraps. Because I had, as I said, I'd used this in another project, so I didn't have the 100 grams, which would have given me more than enough for a Musselburgh. Isn't that, the colours are pulling just amazingly on that. I love that. I love the effect of that yarn. So it now fits, it's finished. If I look closely, I can see the Kitchener, but I don't think anyone else is going to. And if I turn it the right way, it's inside where it's turned up, so it's absolutely not going to be noticeable. It is so warm and cozy around the ears. And the other one that I had mentioned hasn't got a look in, so I won't bring it out again. But that was the Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague. And it's just such a fabulous pattern. I absolutely love it. So that was another FO that I completely forgot about. As you can tell, I'm not as organised as I was. This is what happens when you try to set up a different camera and try to set up lights so that the wool and the colours are actually being seen. Anyway, so finished the shawl, finished the Musselburgh, finished a pair of shorties, which have been on the needles for about a month, and finished 2 socks, the October socks and the Shadow Dash socks. And then the other whips haven't really been getting much of a look in, if I'm honest. because when I went to Hank's Yarn Parlour, there was a little bit too much temptation. And so I cast on something new. I decided that I wanted a slipover. And I'd been having a look for ages at different slipovers on Ravelry. I had decided on, is it the Lauder by the Creabea? And I started it, and then I just wasn't feeling the pattern at that particular time. Again, I was trying to knit cables in the summer, and somehow cables don't always work in the summer. So I pulled it back. I used the yarn for something else. So I finally settled on the Stockholm Slipover by Petite Knit. I'll maybe put a picture of this in, but the Stockholm by Petite Knit. As I say, when I was over at Hank's, I wanted something a slightly richer colour. I do like that grey, but I wanted something a little bit richer against my skin tone. And I looked at a couple of different options, and I really wanted to try the Isère, or I think that's how it's pronounced. So this is the Highland wool, so 100% wool. For 50 grams, there is 275 meters. So I'm hoping for my size, I only need 2 of these if the pattern is correct. This is the Paprika colourway, and it's showing up there perfectly again. So I really love this, and Casey and I had a look around the shop, and we were trying to pick a colour that would match, because it's DK. The slipover, the Stockholm slipover is a DK pattern. And then I spotted this. So Fibre Spates Cumulus, and this is 74% baby Surrey alpaca and 26 mulberry silk. So that's them together. And I couldn't resist but start. And here is what we've got. So that's blowing out a little bit just the way that I'm holding it. But this is absolutely stunning. It's like a teddy bear, or it feels like a teddy bear to me. And it is just gorgeous. The stitch definition, it's just beautiful. So I still haven't finished. I have finished one ball of the Cumulus. I'm into my second ball of it, and I haven't yet finished one ball of the Isère. I have about just short of 2 inches after the sleeves. It's not a split for sleeves because you start in the back, you work your 2 fronts, you join in the round, and then you're working your sleeves after that. So yeah, I started that. I am loving it. It is now at the same position really as my Whitmore sweater, where I'm having to knit in the round, but I'm loving the texture of this. I just feel that for this time of the year, this is so cozy. I'm knitting this on 4mm needles. Don't know the US. US 6, US 8, US 8 maybe. So yeah, 4mm needles, holding double, loving this, absolutely loving this. So that is one of the whips. And then I was watching Rebecca from the Creabea last weekend, and the Nyx sweater was released, and I absolutely loved the colourwork on it. I couldn't decide between the yoke and the all over colourwork, but I had yarn that I really wanted to use. I already had it in stash. I didn't go out and buy anything. I wasn't tempted any further in Casey's. but I had applied to test knit the Nook, so it had been in my head what I would pick in terms of yarn if I was chosen. Unfortunately, I wasn't chosen for that particular test knit, but I was still playing about with the ideas of colour in my head. So this is what I settled on. I decided that I would do the yoke Colourwork only. So this is the Nooks. Colours that I selected were these. Now no, they're not actually. That's probably closer there to the actual colours of the yarns. So these are Stylecraft Grace. On the website it says that it's an Aran yarn, 85% acrylic, 10% mohair and 5% wool. Now, although it says it's Aran, there are 295 metres to 100 grams, so that is probably closer to a sport weight, but I think just with the mohair content that is in this, it does just bloom it up into something closer to an Aran. But I love these colours. Okay, so the camera overheated, so I may be in a slightly different position here than I was a few seconds ago, but that's why. So this colour is called Longgrass, 2153, and it is quite bright. And then this one is called Forest, 2154. So as I say, those are the two colours that I'm using. I have gotten this far, so I'm just into the initial zigzag. I think there's two on the yoke only, but isn't it lovely? Now I have to say, whenever I started knitting, as I say, it's Stylecraft, it's 85% acrylic, which doesn't bother me because some wools definitely make me itchy. Stuff dropping all over the place here. But once I had got to the end, so just about here, I found it felt really hard, really stiff. So I decided, given that it was acrylic, I decided to steam block it. And oh my goodness, the difference. It is just so soft and so lovely. Now with the mohair, there is definitely, I'm not sure if you can see that, but there is definitely a halo. But I think this is going to be glorious. So that's the Nook the Nook's sweater by Rebecca Clow from the Creabea. And I can't wait to have that finished. So yeah, they took over. The Whitmore has had a couple more rows done to it. But yeah, not very much at all. Okay, so that's what I've been working on. And as I said, there's a couple of other things. There is crochet and there is a little bit of sewing that I'm going to share with you. I do feel that this podcast has a little bit all over the place, but we'll see. So in terms of crochet, I had started a mystery cal last Halloween, and it was by, let me get the paperwork out of this. It was by Rosina Crochets, and it was in collaboration with Stylecraft Yarns again. So it was a mystery cal. She released a part of the pattern every week from September through to maybe 2 weeks before Halloween, so that you could finish it before Halloween. I kept up with weeks 1 and weeks 2, and then I got distracted, because as you can see, I'm very easily distracted whenever we're talking about knits and crafts. But I do want to finish this. So as it was coming up to Halloween again, I thought I'm going to do another little bit and see how far I can get. So it's mosaic crochet. And isn't that class? So we'll go from the start. So this was the first bit. It could have been broken into 2 charts, but this was the first bit. So we had the headstones and the cats. And then we went into this kind of bunting with monster heads and spiders coming down. And then into the pumpkin faces, which again, that is such a brilliant colour of orange in Stylecraft. So I had gotten to here by this time last year. So I'd gotten all of that bit done. You do end up with a lot of ends. So you crochet 1 row, you snip the yarn, you go back to the start of the row and you crochet again. So you're always crocheting on the same side. You're not turning and working on the back of the work. You're always crocheting on the front. But these will all be encased in the border that goes around it, or at least I'm hoping it is, because that's the way I did one of hers last year, and that's the way that it was. So I'm hopeful that this one's the same. And then, so from the purple sweets, I'm not sure if they are sweets, but I'm calling them sweets. So from here, I did this and the ghosts and the purple again for this one. But I loved this bit too, with the ghosts and the boo in the middle. I just thought it was really, really lovely. So let me see if I can find. So I know it's not great. I will put a picture up. That is the blanket. So I have cauldron pots and then spiders to go and bats at the top. So say I'll put a finished picture in from Rosina Craft's Facebook page, but it is lovely, and I did actually order her. She brought was it fairy dust about Easter time, and again it caught my daughter's eye, so I have the kit sitting for it and I can't wait, but I'm not going to start it until I have this one complete. Still not sure it's going to be completed for this Halloween. I have 4 days left. Can't see it, but I do want to have it finished by the end of the year and start into hers. So that is just so cool. I love it. And as I've said before, I just really, really love Stylecraft yarn, and in blankets, it is just perfect. So Rosina Crafts, I'll put all the details below. Stylecraft, although these are kits, so there's 3 different colourways that Rosina Crafts published as part of the Bistri Cal. And you could go and get the kits. Actually, do you know what? I'm thinking it wasn't a mystery cal. You actually got to see the finished blanket, but each of the charts was released a week at a time. I think that was the way of it. But whenever you picked your colourway, especially on Woolwarehouse, it came as a kit. I went to the Wool Nook in Lisburn here in Northern Ireland and picked up the colours. But I know that all of the colours that are in this blanket are still available on Stylecraft. So wherever your local Stylecraft supplier is, and if you happen to be in America or anywhere else, Woolwarehouse does post internationally, so have a look at that. But yeah, purple, green, black, white and the orange are the colours that are used in this particular one. So that's what I've been crocheting on. It has been a break from knitting and I have really enjoyed it. And then I've also done some sewing. So I had said before that I had some sewing bags. I use Can Do Designs, Can Do Crafts for the bags that I use. And I had been looking in these boxes behind me and had quite a lot of fabric, and decided that while we were looking at putting the sock blockers online, I would also put some project bags on. Now, these project bags, I use them for my knits, for my crochet, but my daughter uses them for Lego, for toys. If we're going away for the weekend, she puts bits and pieces of her Barbies in them, of her Generation dolls, headphones, technology, leads, all sorts of stuff has been known to go in these bags when we're travelling. So I'll show you this is one that I have made. So I've done 3 different fabrics. Each time I make them, depending on the fabric and what I have to complement, I make them slightly differently. So one of my trusted ones that I have been using for a long time, I have used the same fabric at the top and at the bottom, but on the inside of this it is just white, and I tend to put lots of pin badges on my bags. There is a handle and there's drawstrings. So this is the same. You have the handle here, which can go over your wrist and you can carry it about. You have the cords to draw it in, and the inside of this one is actually patterned. So lovely pretty flowers, and there are also pockets on the inside of this. So 3 pockets. Three pockets on the inside, and yeah. So I'm going to put a range of those up. I have a pile of fabric sitting down here on the floor that I've already started cutting out, because there's only so many project bags that I need. So I figured it would be wise to sew those up and put them on and see what happens. So those will be coming as well whenever I release the sock blockers. So I think that's about it. I normally go into what has been catching my eye, but I think you've seen what has been catching my eye. The Nick sweater didn't last too long, it was straight on the needles. Similarly with the Stockholm slipover, although I have been looking at it for quite some time. And then I was watching Rebecca last night, and I don't know the name of her new one, but it's an all over textured, and I can't wait for it to come out too. It just looks so lovely and cozy, and a really kind of pick me up jumper, feel like a hug. So I can't wait for that one to come as well. So those have been catching my eye over the last couple of weeks. As per the first podcast, I haven't gone over the jumper that I'm wearing. It should be pretty recognisable. It's the Love Note by Tin Can Knits. Absolutely fabulous pattern. I have now knit this 4 times. Twice for my daughter, twice for myself. And again, the fact that it goes from baby right through, the size range is just fabulous, and the patterns are really easy to read. So this particular one is in a Malton yarn again. So it was in a purple and pink colourway. I've none of the yarn left. I literally used the last specks of this, and I held it double with 2 strands of kid silk mohair from Drops in the purple. The reason why I held it double was because I had attempted to knit a mohair jumper, and it required 2 strands of mohair, but I just didn't like the fit of it when I finished. So thankfully I hadn't got too far. I found the Drops Kid Silk ripped back pretty easily, but I wasn't then going to try and break apart the 2 strands of mohair. So whenever I looked at the Love Note, I thought actually the purple would work really well with that Malton Yarns that I have. I had 2 skeins of it, and what I ended up with was a fabric that wasn't quite as open, but I really love, sorry, I have the microphone attached, but I really love the fabric of that, and the way that it turned out, and the way that the purples and the pinks have worked together. Now for this particular one, I did it quite significantly longer because I wanted it with jeans, and I like my jumpers a little bit longer. So this one is, but again, I leave my sleeves shorter. I don't like pulling at them around my wrist. So this is a length that I really like. And I'd left those a little bit shorter. So that's the jumper that I'm wearing. All of my FOs, whips, what's catching my eye, some crochet and some sewing. So if you've got to this stage, thank you very much. It has been a little chaotic. I'll see when editing just how chaotic this is. Thank you again for watching the first 2 episodes and for following along in this journey. Please, if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel and like the video, as it helps massively in terms of just getting others some inspiration and seeing what everyone is knitting. I know certainly that's how I find podcasts, whenever there's likes and subscribes and it's popping up, and then it's inspiring me as well. I'll put everything down in the description below, and hopefully I will chat to you all in the comments soon. Have a lovely couple of weeks and I will see you soon. Bye!